Okay, in this lesson, we have hit our geometry unit, and our TEK is 4.6a, which we have to be able to identify points, lines, line segments, rays, angles, and perpendicular and parallel lines. And so we have some notes for this, and the more you use them and the more you see them, the more you will, it'll keep coming back to you. But until then, you're probably going to have to come into your notes and remember these. So these notes I went ahead and gave you the filled in notes. Sometimes I leave these blank and we fill them in, but these are the filled in notes so that you can see them. Okay, on our review, a point is any exact location. So anywhere it's talking about something, and they usually put a dot, is a location where they're telling you to look somewhere, and that's a point. We name a point with a capital letter, okay? It can also be said in a paper, point P or P, okay? So that's a point. Anywhere they're saying, if they say point L, then you look for that capital L and you see what area they're looking at. A line, however, is a straight path that extends without end in opposite directions. So when you think about a line, there's arrows on both ends because it goes on and on and on. And of course, I put a horizontal line up here. Lines can be up and down, diagonal, all different ways. But the ends of them continue on and on. A line is named by 2 points on the line. Any 2 points that are on the line is how we name a line. So, since this one has A and B on it, they're talking about line A and B. And it also can be line BA. And notice the letters can be reversed, but when you write it in words, it'd be line AB or line BA. When you put it in a form, in symbol form, it's AB. Notice they put a line on the top of the just AB, but the line has 2 arrows on both ends showing that it's a line. And of course it can be BA, so it's any 2 points that are on that line. And the main thing that you're going to see is that it's going to have arrows and show that the line goes on, and that means that they're talking about that entire line. A plane is a flat surface that extends without end in all directions. A plane is named by 3 points on a plane. Now, mainly you're not going to have to name a plane, but you will have to be able to read the space that they're talking about. And here's the thing, the points, one of them cannot all be on the same line. 2 of the points can be on the same line, but one of them has to be in a different place. Therefore, it's showing that it's the space and that it extends with all directions. It's showing the plane, not just the line. The way that they usually note that in worksheets are plane LMN, plane MLN, and plane NLM. It can be any 3 points, just one of them cannot be on the same line or in the same space. Okay? On page 2 of your notes, we have a line segment. And we talk about segments of a movie or pieces of a movie, if you have not heard that, but a segment is a piece. So if you notice, it's different here than a line, because a line extends on both ends, but notice they have points on the ends of these. These are what we call endpoints, okay? And a line segment is made of 2 endpoints and all the points in between. So a line segment is named by its endpoint. So you got to find the space where the part that you're talking about, and an endpoint is just saying it stops right there and it stops right here. So this is line segment XY or line segment YX. It doesn't matter the order that you put the letters in. Notice there's no arrows on this like there is on a line. On a line, we put arrows. On a segment, you just draw the line because we're saying it's pretty much stopped on both ends. And so when you write it in symbol form, it's XY or YX. Okay? So when I say you sometimes have to go back, that's what you have to sometimes go back. What are they talking about? This is a line segment. You know, the other one's a line because it's got arrows showing it extends. And here's the other one, array. Array has one endpoint. From the end point, the ray extends without end in one direction. So we talk about sun rays and how, you know, the sun and how it has rays, and the sun is the end point, and where it points to goes on and on and on. That's the same with the line. And rays can be in all different directions, but they stop at an end point and they go on and on and on in one direction. So you notice there's an arrow only on one direction. A ray can be ray JK, or notice how it's written in symbol form where there's an arrow on one side. It's not on both, but it looks like it's just stopped, so that's like the end point. Here's the tricky thing about array. It is important the way that you put your letters. Array is named by its end point and then another point on the ray. Always start with the end point. So here is the end point of my ray. So it's always, when I label it, it's always going to start with J and then any other letter. That way you know where it starts, the endpoint starts, and in what direction you're going according to where that letter is. So once again, go back, read these notes, and look at them. And of course, we've understood what an endpoint is by now because we've had some in here. It's where something stops or it begins, an endpoint. Okay? So this would be the end point because it stopped and it started right here. There's a start and it goes on and on this way, but it doesn't go on past it. Okay. Some other things that we're talking about is in geometry and some more vocabulary is an angle. It is the space usually measured in degrees between the two intersecting lines or rays or close to the point where they meet. Let me read that again. It's the space between the two intersecting lines or the rays. Okay, so here's an end point right here. Let me get my pencil. This is an end point. It goes on and on this way, so this is a ray without ending. So that's a ray. Here's an end point and it goes on and on this way. Okay. So an angle is where you have two rays that meet at an end point, okay? And it's usually measured in degrees, and it's the space in between right here, the two rays or the two rays, and it can be two lines that intersect at an end point to give you that angle, okay? Now, here's one, and I know you probably don't remember, but we did learn it in 3rd grade. It's parallel lines, and we'll have a song that we sing with that, and we'll learn the actions to it. It's two lines on a plane that never meet. They are always the same distance apart, okay? And they don't have to be, think of railroad tracks. The lines never touch, but they're the same distance apart. These are parallel lines. They could be facing different ways too. They just cannot be touching each other. That's what we call parallel. Okay? Perpendicular lines are lines that make right angles or 90-degree angles to each other. Okay? So we kind of talked about on a piece of paper, every corner is perpendicular. They make that 90-degree angle. We're going to talk later about circles and all the degrees inside of a circle, and there's 360, but if you just divide that circle into 4 equal parts, right here, these make 90-degree angles, okay? And this, I put this one on here, this example, because it just looks a little bit different. We're like, oh, that's a 90-degree. Well, it's not really facing, not all 90-degree angles have to be facing straight up and down like this, or look like a square. A square has all 90-degree angles inside of it. So it's two lines that are complete, that make those 90-degree angles, and they label it with that little box right there, okay? Letting you know it's 90 degrees. Sometimes you have to eyeball it. If you stick this inside, if I make a angle like this, and if I have a piece of paper, if I can set this angle inside of it and it makes that 90-degree angle, then it's in it. But in this case, I went up a little bit, so it doesn't. Then it's a 90-degree, and then we'll talk about that. But you'll be able to tell in fourth grade for sure whether it's 90 degrees or not. They're going to not make it like an 89-degree and say, is that not a 90? So anyways, these are the vocabulary notes that you're going to be using for this unit, and I would be going back to them because on your worksheets you're going to need to be able to look at them and go back, and the more you see them, I promise you the easier it will be to say, oh, that's a ray, that's a line, oh, they're talking. And we have a song that we're going to learn parallel lines and perpendicular lines.